All right, so we're diving into this pile of RoleCatcher stuff you sent over
Right.
about becoming a power tool repair technician.
Okay.
Now, I got to be honest, when I first saw that title, I was like, fixing drills? Sounds pretty straightforward. But
Yeah.
looking at this stuff, it's way more interesting than it seems at first.
It really is.
And surprisingly high-tech, too.
Yeah, you're right on the money with that one.
Okay.
The Bureau of Labor Statistics data you sent over really drives that point home.
Yeah.
Projecting a 6% growth rate through 2029.
Yeah.
Which is really fast compared to most other jobs.
So this is a career with some serious staying power, then.
Absolutely.
You're not just fixing a problem, you're building a future-proof skill set.
I like that.
So, okay, we're not just talking about my dad's old drill here.
Oh.
What kind of power tools are we really talking about?
That's one of the things I found so interesting about this
Okay.
really diverse field.
Okay.
You could be working on anything from lawnmowers and chainsaws to those heavy-duty grinders they use in manufacturing.
Wow, okay. I did not picture industrial grinders.
Yeah.
So someone could really, like, specialize.
Oh, absolutely.
Become, like, the lawnmower whisperer.
Specialization is really common,
Okay.
especially as the technology keeps advancing.
Right, because even our household tools are getting pretty high-tech these days.
Exactly, and that's actually something the RoleCatcher material mentioned.
Okay.
Modern power tools are using more electronics and software now. So you think about it, diagnosing a faulty circuit board in a fancy drill requires totally different skills than just tightening a few screws.
Makes sense.
You're not just a mechanic anymore, you're a tech troubleshooter.
That's a way cooler way to put it.
Right.
You're not just fixing a tool, you're problem solving, maybe even doing a little coding.
A little bit, yeah.
So all this tech stuff, does that mean you need to be like a computer whiz to get into this field?
Well, it's definitely becoming more and more important,
Okay.
but it's not about being some kind of coding guru.
Well, yeah.
Having a basic understanding of electronics and how software interacts with hardware is key, though.
Okay.
Think of it like this. You don't need to build a computer from scratch,
Right.
but you should probably know how to troubleshoot when your Wi-Fi goes out.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we've got the tech side. But what about people skills?
Yeah.
Is this like a solo gig?
That's a good question.
Or are you dealing with customers all the time?
That's a really important aspect that RoleCatcher highlighted.
Okay.
Customer interaction is a key part of this job.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're not just fixing tools, you're fixing relationships too.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Huh.
You're explaining repairs in a way that makes sense.
Okay.
Advising them on maintenance, maybe even doing some sales or customer service. Having those soft skills can really make a difference.
Yeah.
Especially if you want to start your own repair business someday.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Now you're fixing these powerful machines all day. But what about your own earning power? What can someone actually expect to make in this field?
So salaries vary, of course,
Sure.
based on experience, location, whether you're employed or self-employed.
Right.
But the source we looked at cited an average range of $40,000 to $50,000
Okay.
as a starting point.
Not bad at all.
Not bad at all.
Especially for a career you can often get into with a high school diploma and some specialized training.
Exactly.
It seems like there's a real opportunity to build a solid, well-paying career.
I think so.
But what does that trajectory actually look like?
So RoleCatcher outlined a pretty clear career ladder we can unpack a bit to give you a better sense of what's possible.
Awesome.
Yeah.
A career ladder, huh? I'm always up for a good climb. What are the rungs we're looking at here?
So think of it in 4 stages.
Okay.
You start out at the entry level,
Okay.
then you move up to junior technician, then experienced technician,
Okay.
and then finally senior technician.
Gotcha.
Each step builds on the last one.
Makes sense.
Not just in terms of skill, but earning potential too.
So starting out, you're not expected to like rebuild a chainsaw engine on day one, right?
No, not at all.
What does that entry-level life actually look like?
It's all about absorbing knowledge at that point.
Okay.
You're assisting the more experienced techs,
Right.
getting a feel for different tools, probably doing a lot of disassembly, cleaning, basic repairs.
Okay.
Think of it like building your foundation.
Learning the tools of the trade, literally.
Exactly.
And then you level up to junior tech. What usually marks that transition?
It's about gaining confidence and competence.
Okay.
You've got the basics down, and you're ready to tackle some more complex repairs independently.
Okay.
You'll still be under the guidance of more experienced colleagues, of course.
Sure.
But you're given more responsibility and autonomy.
Gotcha.
And the RoleCatcher Guide really emphasized this.
What's that?
A lot of the learning at this stage happens on the job. It's about building those practical hands-on skills.
That makes sense.
Yeah, you can't become a master craftsperson by reading a textbook.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay, so you put in your time, honed your skills. You're an experienced technician.
Now you're talking.
Now we're talking the big leagues, right?
This is where it gets really interesting. And this is where you start to see the real potential of this career path.
How so?
You're not just fixing tools at this point.
Huh?
You might be leading a team, mentoring junior techs,
Wow.
troubleshooting those really head-scratching problems that have everyone stumped.
I like it.
You might even develop your own specialized repair techniques.
Okay, now that's what I'm talking about.
Your modification.
Innovation.
Exactly.
And I bet that kind of expertise comes with a nice salary bump, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Your earning potential increases significantly at that level.
And finally,
Yeah.
you reach the peak, the summit. Senior power tool repair technician.
The top of the mountain.
What does life look like at the top?
You become the go-to expert,
Okay.
the one everyone turns to for advice and guidance.
Cool.
You might be overseeing the entire repair operation at that point,
Wow.
ensuring quality control, mentoring the next generation of techs, maybe even training them on the latest technologies and techniques.
Wow. From tinkering with tools to shaping the future of the field, that's quite a journey.
It is.
I also noticed that RoleCatcher included some really insightful stuff
Oh, yeah.
from actual technicians
Oh, cool.
at each level.
I love that.
Yeah.
Those firsthand accounts are so valuable.
It's one thing to talk about it generally,
Right.
but hearing from those in the trenches, so to speak,
Absolutely.
paints a much more vivid picture.
For sure.
Speaking of realistic, though, we've been talking a lot about the good stuff.
Yeah.
But like any job, there are some downsides to think about.
Right.
What did our source flag as some potential challenges?
Well, they were very upfront about the physical demands of this line of work.
Okay.
You're on your feet a lot.
Right.
Potentially lifting heavy equipment,
Yeah.
dealing with sharp objects, sometimes contorting yourself into awkward positions.
To get to that one screw.
Exactly.
Not exactly a desk job.
No.
So someone with physical limitations might want to think twice about this then.
Well, not necessarily.
Okay.
The source mentioned that a lot of experienced techs really emphasize proper ergonomics,
Oh,
using specialized tools and equipment,
smart.
employing techniques that minimize strain on the body.
So it's all about working smarter, not harder,
Exactly.
because even the toughest jobs can be adapted.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Now, another potential downside they mentioned
Yeah.
is the possibility of repetitive work,
Okay.
especially if you end up specializing in one particular type of tool.
Yeah, I can see how fixing the same problem in the same model of lawnmower every day
Right.
could get a little tedious.
Yeah.
How do seasoned techs deal with that?
I think it's all about perspective
Okay.
and finding ways to stay engaged.
Okay.
Remember that specialization we talked about?
Mm-hmm.
If you're really passionate about the type of tool you're fixing,
Yeah.
that repetition becomes less about monotony and more about mastering your craft.
I like it.
You know, it's like anything else. Find that niche that sparks your interest.
Right.
And even those seemingly mundane tasks can become more enjoyable.
Yeah, that makes sense. So finding that sweet spot where passion meets profession.
Yeah.
Now, one more thing I remember RoleCatcher mentioned
Okay.
was the potential for long or irregular hours.
Right.
That could be a deal breaker for a lot of folks.
Yeah, it's true, especially if you're in more of a customer-facing role, like repair.
Okay.
Deadlines need to be met.
Sure.
And sometimes that means putting in the extra hours,
Right.
especially if you're running your own business.
Speaking of running your own business, that seems like a pretty big part of this whole career path, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a real possibility.
Okay.
The guide really emphasized that.
Okay.
A lot of power tool repair technicians eventually branch out on their own.
Yeah.
And when that happens,
Yeah.
you get that flexibility. You know,
Yeah.
you can set your own hours, choose your clients, build a business that reflects your values.
And maybe even build in some of those sustainability practices we talked about.
Absolutely.
It's like you're not just fixing tools, you're fixing a little part of the system.
Exactly. And that actually brings us back to that whole environmental aspect. It's interesting this came up in your research because there's a real growing movement these days
Yeah.
towards repairing and restoring quality tools
Right.
instead of just replacing them.
Like instead of buying a cheap drill
Exactly.
that's going to end up in a landfill in 2 years,
Exactly.
you invest in something well-made that can be repaired
Right.
and last a lifetime.
100%.
And a skilled power tool repair technician is crucial to that whole thing.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You're extending the lifespan of these tools, reducing waste,
Yep.
promoting a more mindful approach to consumption.
Which is really cool to think about.
That is a powerful way to look at it.
Yeah.
We went from fixing drills to potentially fixing the planet.
I like it.
This deep dive has been full of surprises.
Yeah, it has.
What stands out most to you?
It's a career with some hidden depths, wouldn't you say? You've got the hands-on work, the problem solving, customer interaction, the potential to run your own business, and like you said, maybe even contribute to a more sustainable future.
Definitely not just your average wrench-turning job.
No, not at all.
And remember, folks,
Yeah.
this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
Your RoleCatcher excerpts included links to professional associations, trade schools, even online forums.
Oh, wow.
A treasure trove of information if you want to go deeper on this.
Knowledge is power.
There you go.
And with a field like this, seems like the potential applications of that knowledge are just going to keep growing.
And who knows what the future holds.
That's right.
Maybe we'll be diving into your research on self-repairing power tools someday.
Now, that would be a fascinating deep dive.
It sure would.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, that's it for today's deep dive.
That was a good one.
Until next time, stay curious.